Hello, this is Mark Sabatella from Outside Shore Music. In this video, I'm going to talk about the use of color tones in minor keys. I so often focus on the color tones in major keys and talk about how sometimes we borrow this sound in minor keys, but I thought I should actually just show what the color tones you would normally use for a 2-5-1 chord progression, a basic circle of fifths chord progression in a minor key. So first of all, in a major key, this series of voicings that I have here for D minor 7, then G7, those are very common voicings found in Romantic era classical music or in jazz. They have ninths. In the case of the G7, it has a ninth and a 13th. And then for the C major 7, I can have a ninth and a 13th, or maybe just the ninth and use a fifth instead. Or maybe I play the chord without the major 7th and use the major 6th instead. Those are all common voicings for that tonic chord in a major key. Now, in a minor key, what's going to happen is, first of all, we have A flats and B flats in the key signature. We're not going to use that B flat at all, but we will use the A flat sometimes. So like you might hear about like natural minor and harmonic minor and melodic minor, and you sometimes people get kind of hung up on those different scales thinking, oh, I'm writing a song, it has to be in one of those keys. But those aren't keys, those are scales. The key of C minor means you use these 5 notes, but then you can either use the A flat or the A, either the B flat or the B, kind of depending on the context. And so it's not about always using one set according to what a scale tells you. So we're going to look at how to know. So the 2 chord in a minor key, we are going to use that A flat. So it ends up being a minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished chord. If we're going to add a color tone to it, I've got my 3rd, 7th, I'll put that 5th in there, and I definitely need that 5th in here because it's a flatted 5th. It's colorful itself. If I didn't play that, I wouldn't hear it as a half diminished chord. I need that 5th for the 2 chord. For the 9th, I'm going to use a standard 9th, that is a major 9th, a whole step above the chord tone here. I use this sound. It introduces an E that's not in the key, and that's okay. It is perfectly okay. This is the standard voicing that most jazz musicians would choose for that half diminished chord in this context, even though it involves leaving the key. Whether or not, Ravel or some given classical composer would have chosen that same sound, I'm not going to speak to that. I will just say most jazz musicians will choose this sound because it's just less dissonant than the sound with the E flat. So if we're going to include a color tone, E is a common choice. Then for the G7, the B, as I mentioned, is in the key, or at least in harmonic minor. So we're going to use the B natural. We need it to be a G7. And then we're going to have the A flat and the E flat. So we're going to have a flat 9 and a flat 13 on our chord that we get kind of for free. They are there in the key. If we're in C minor, we expect the E flat, we expect the A flat. They're in the key signature. So we get a flat 13 and a flat 9 kind of for free just by being in a minor key. For the 1 chord, if I want to play my voicing with a 3rd and a 7th and then a 9th and a 13th, you'll see that, or a 6th as I might call it, I revert to the A natural. It's just a little nicer of a sound. I like this sound for the 6th. I am less likely to use this sound. It doesn't sound like a C tonic minor chord to me. So I use the major 6th, the major 9th. Again, that 6th is a whole tone above a chord tone. The D is a whole tone, a whole step above a chord tone. So this voicing here has both the major 7th and the 6th. The second voicing I show has the major 7th but uses a 5th instead. And the 3rd voicing that I show has the 6th but not the major 7th. So it's a C minor 6 chord basically, all with added ninths as well. So these are the common configurations that you will see for how color tones are used in minor keys. You'll often see that major ninth used on the half diminished 2 chord. You'll see the flat 9 and the flat 13 used on the 5 chord, and you'll see the major 6th and or major 7th on the 1 chord. Those are how we use color tones for 2-5-1 chord progressions in minor keys.